Getting into the best college at the lowest cost is a journey that begins long before high school. John Baylor is the owner of John Baylor Prep, and over the past 20 years, he's taught thousands how to jump their ACT and SAT scores, helping families and schools create college graduates with minimal debt. This is the John Baylor Prep Show.
There are also lots of affordable four-year colleges out there. We try to share the stories, but also there are things you can do to get into the best college for you and lower the cost. And one is interview for college. It's something you would do really very commonly in former decades, but there are not as many colleges which allow that interview, and a lot of families don't avail themselves of that because maybe junior's a little bit nervous. We're going to talk to a couple experts who have a new book out, College Interview Essentials. College Interview Essentials, you can grab it on Amazon. What can't you grab on Amazon?
You can get your book on Amazon. If you can get your book on Amazon, that's
all
all you need.
You're exactly right. The other books, not as necessary. But College Interview Essentials would be helpful.
Except for the authors of the next book.
It'd be a good companion piece. And Peggy Nash Marks joins us. Kiri O'Connor joins us. They're they are the two co-authors of this. And Kiri and Peggy, thanks so much for joining us on the John Baylor Prep Show.
Our pleasure. Thank you so very much for having us on your show.
Let's find out from whoever wants to go first. How about Kiri? How common is it for colleges to make available the opportunity to interview, and how important is it then for families to say, yes, my child will be there?
Okay, great question, because we're asked this question a number of times. We did a little homework, and we looked at the college rankings from U.S. News and World Report, and of the top 75 colleges, about 90% have interviews, and of the top 25 universities, around 80%. Now, it varies year to year, and it's like everything swings and roundabouts, but our number one communication to any applicant is if an interview is offered, you should definitely indicate that you want one.
Why?
Because that shows a college that you are very interested, will take the time, and are committed to trying to gain admission to that institution.
So just to extrapolate what you just said, Kiri, about 100 elite colleges we're pretty much talking about here, and universities.
Yeah.
85% will allow you to interview. 85%. We're not talking alumni interviews, right? We're talking about on-campus interviews, correct?
We're
Both.
talking primarily both.
Okay.
More and more institutions have gone to alumni interviews. Certainly they're on-campus interviews. But primarily, a lot of the schools, just because of the sheer number of applicants every year to the top schools, they don't have the bandwidth or the staff to accommodate all those applicants in the staff. So they rely on alumni. And actually, that's what Peggy and I were. We were co-chairs of a major university's alumni interview program, and each of us interviewed over 10 applicants each season, and we managed hundreds of interviews. And over the 15-plus years we did this, we were responsible for thousands of alumni interviews that went to the admissions staff, went into the candidate's file, and were part of the evaluation of that candidate when it came to admissions.
Peggy?
That's an important point, John. Whether your interviewer is a staff admissions representative or an alumni representative of the university, the write-up that interviewer does of your interview is going to be included in your admissions file. So when your application is reviewed by the total admissions committee or it is read by the particular reader, they're going to see the results of that interview.
Now, we know that if it's an admissions officer right there in the admissions office, it's going to make a big difference potentially. But how about an alum that lives far away, that lives in the hometown of the applicant? Can that make a big difference?
Yes, that's precisely what I'm describing. So obviously, any admissions office doesn't possibly have a large enough staff to have all the tentacles to reach globally. And so they rely on their alumni interview committees in order to carry out a part of the application, which is the interview and the interview write-up. So just because they know their colleague right there in the admissions office, and you may have been one of the lucky ones who have sat in the office and had an interview with an admissions representative, they rely on their alumni to give personality and have the applicant come to life on the admissions table so that they learn more than just the written material.
Speaking with Peggy Nash Marks, Kiri O'Connor, the authors of College Interview Essentials. All right, we've established two things. One, there are about 85% of the top 100 most elite, most selective colleges in the country which do offer alumni or in-office interviews. And number two is definitely make yourself available. They can make a difference. Now, how do you interview? We'll find out when we come right back on the John Baylor Prep Show.
If you're looking for a talk show that mocks politicians and then complains about incivility in politics, this isn't it. The John Baylor Prep Show.
Learn a lot more at johnbaylorprep.com. Make sure the loved ones in your life maximize their score, maximize their scholarships, maximize the chance of getting in the best college at the lowest cost. Continuing our conversation with the authors of College Interview Essentials, Peggy Nash Marks, Kiri O'Connor. Kiri, parents are listening. Students want to know. Give us some of the secrets, one or two keys to nail that interview.
Well, believe it or not, I think you've experienced this with the number of schools many applicants are applying to. A school really needs to know that you are committed and want to go to their school. And many students arrive to the interview with very broad stroke kind of reasons for wanting to go to that particular school. We encourage our students to do their homework, to really understand what it is about that school in particular that drives them, that they're passionate about, that really they would say that this school delivers above and beyond any other school. So critical is knowing the school and why you want to go there.
So, Peggy, give me an example of a vague answer that's lame, that will be not memorable, very forgettable, and give me a substitute answer that would be specific for a particular school.
Okay, so let's take the Boston area. Boston has many, many undergraduate institutions. And so a typical question at an interview might be, why do you want to attend this and this school? And the simple answer is, oh, well, it's in Boston. There are a lot of young people, and I want to be in Boston.
Lame, very forgettable.
That's another good one. My friends are there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so that's the no, not the right answer.
Yeah. Might be true, but don't go with it. Okay.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Much too general, and that fits every school in Boston.
And what would be a better answer? Just make a little hypothetical for, say, a Tufts.
A better answer I will pick in my mind, and one of those schools in Boston. And I will know that school is particularly strong in journalism. And so I will speak to why I want to attend that school, because of their journalism department, and because I know that is the education I require in order to succeed in my future career goals. And I know something about the professors that teach in that journalism department because I've researched the school, I've researched the department, I've looked it up on the web. I know as much as I can so I can speak directly to the school.
College Interview Essentials is the book. We're speaking to the co-authors. Kiri O'Connor, what should students wear to this alumni or admissions office interview?
That's a very good question. Again, something that we do cover in our book, and we are frequently asked. We call it the neutral wardrobe. So basically, the way we envision this with our students, as we say, pretend you're going to go visit an elderly relative. And if you think that you look good, go back home and change, because the elderly relative is who you want to present yourself. So you are neutral. So when an interviewer looks at you, they're not writing about what you look like or wear or anything like that. They're writing about what you're saying, what's substantive, what are the kinds of feedback, your passion, what are you proud of, how are you going to make a difference? What are your key strengths? Those are the things that we want to make sure the student is communicating to the interviewer and then to the admissions committee.
So we all know you can underdress for these interviews. Sounds like you think you can overdress, too.
You can definitely overdress. I have had applicants come to me in a suit and tie. I think that's overdoing it.
Okay. All right. Now, what about pausing? What I tell interviewees, students that go through these interviews, and I got to tell you, it doesn't happen a whole lot. At least in the Midwest, not enough people look into this and take advantage of alumni interviews or on-site interviews. And I say, don't speak immediately. Just ponder for a moment. Even if you do have a good answer, just be thoughtful, and then don't double clutch. Just kind of once you get started, roll. What do you think of that advice?
Well, students are always worried that they're not going to be able to answer that question. And what I say, which is similar to your view, is if there's a question that you don't know, you say, that's a really good question. It's going to take me a minute to think about it, and pause.
Buying time.
Then it suggests that you are really considering the question and you're trying to give an intelligent, informed response versus blurting something out that you really don't understand and that you're going to spend time explaining because the interviewer doesn't understand. And we try to make sure that the interviewees make it simple because the interviewer is barraged with a lot of information in a short period of time. And we like them to focus on 4 points and really hit those home so the interviewer can walk out of the interview and know, this is what I'm going to say about this student. These are their strengths. This is their passion. This is how they're going to make a difference. And this is what their key strengths are.
And what are those four? What are those 4 points?
Okay, so what are you passionate about? That's so important because it shows the excitement and energy that these applicants have, and that's what colleges and universities are looking for: is highly motivated, highly empowered students. Then what are you proud of? What have you done over the course of your high school career that you're really proud of? Because that, again, is an indication of who you are and what you want to contribute to the school. That builds off on how did you make a difference? Was it with somebody you worked one-on-one with tutoring? Was it a volunteer activity? Was it getting up on stage? What was it? And again, that's another insight that you get into the student. And then the final question, which is always hard for them to really address, is what are your key strengths? Really, what makes you tick? Why am I going to take you versus another student? Peggy, do you have...
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I know you, John, have mentioned the word passionate before on your show, and Kiri and I talk about it a lot. And it may seem a little frustrating for some students who haven't yet chosen their future path. And I don't think they should be worried about that. They can talk about a few things that they want to embrace, that they're looking forward to embracing. Because obviously the menu is vast, and this is the time in their lives where they have to start closing a few doors in order to explore certain opportunities. So that's fine if they talk about that as well.
I think you've also talked about the fact that life is an ongoing exploration, that in our lifetimes there are many different careers, many different paths, and that's really what we're encouraging students to embrace as well, that it's a changing, flexible perspective that they have to have to in their future.
Speaking with the co-authors of College Interview Essentials, you can grab it on Amazon. How should students practice? We only have about 45 seconds, but we'll bring you back just after the break. How should students practice? Are there questions they should consider and maybe even have some thoughts about, like biggest regrets? You already talked about greatest achievements, where you want to be in 5 years. What are some thoughts and ways they should practice ahead of time?
Okay.
Go ahead, Peggy. You have about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So very quickly, if you pick up our book, College Interview Essentials, the back of the book, after we've described how you should prepare, we have 9 appendices that offer practice. And if you follow our lead, you will be fully prepared for your interview. You will feel confident. And this interview preparation is going to help you throughout your life, whether you're interviewing for college, internships, scholarships, careers, jobs. You need interview skills. And
more on the John Baylor Prep Show after you hear this. Welcome back, John Baylor Prep Show, JBP Show. Thanks for joining us. Just solder it into your schedule, 1 hour every week, dedicated to the proposition every person deserves the right college at the right price so that they can become a 2 or 4 year college grad with minimal debt. Kevin Thomas, Sorry, my friend. I've been doing a lot of the talking.
This has
today.
been an information. I've just been sitting back
Soaking?
and listening.
Good job.
Soaking it in.
And Dennis Hedrick was with us earlier, and he was with Southeast Community Colleges, reminding us of the fabulous path that more students should consider. It's a 2-year degree with minimal debt, perhaps as a stepping stone to an ultimate 4-year degree. Affordability is king. You want not just the skills and knowledge of a college degree, but the financial freedom to leverage them. And now we're talking about interview skills, not just really for getting into college, which is our primary mission on this show, but also for life. It's something that can trip you up as opportunities arrive throughout your life. And two experts are Peggy Nash Marks, Kiri O'Connor, the authors of College Interview Essentials, So You Think You Can Interview, ? I like question marks in titles, even in subtitles. All right, Peggy, you were on a roll there. We got a couple more minutes, and you said there are 9 appendices that can help young people practice for this all-important college interview offered at probably 85% of the top 100 most elite, I should say, selective colleges in the country. Give us 1 or 2 great strategies to prepare so they can nail that interview.
One of the things that we would really like students to have is a conversation rather than an interrogation. Key to a conversation is to have questions for your interviewer, so he's not just asking you questions. So Peggy's going to take you through some kinds of questions that we suggest that are prepared in advance.
So very often students will come to the interview and they heave a sigh of relief after they think they've quickly answered all the peppered questions, but they have to be prepared to ask the interviewer something that would not be apparent on the college website. So it's more about the interviewer's personal experience. For example, do you have any advice for me as an incoming freshman? Or what, if anything, would you have done differently during your time at school? What are your best memories of your time at school? So all those questions are pertinent to the interviewer, makes them feel like you really are interested in their experience, no matter what their age. And having said that, I just want to add that the applicant should not be put off or address a young interviewer any differently than an older interviewer, because many times the schools now employ their current seniors, but those seniors can be absolutely as strict and as interrogating as the older ones.
In fact, many times, as Peggy and I have looked at many write-ups, they're sometimes much tougher on the candidates than the older interviewers, because they've just graduated. And
I'd believe that, yeah.
Particularly for alumni, they want the best candidates to go to their school. It's in their best interest to get the best new alumni coming through. So the younger ones can many times be more harsh.
Kiri O'Connor, Peggy Nash Marks, the authors of College Interview Essentials. So you think you can interview, ? Great ideas, not just for college-bound kids, for adults as well, in that big interview coming up. Thank you both so much for joining us on the John Baylor Prep Show.
Thanks for having us, John. Bye.
Good
care. Bye-bye.
stuff, Kevin Thomas.
Full show.
Just make sure that the loved ones in your life get the right college at the right price, and the FAFSA, get it filled out. October is when it's now due. Get it filled out as soon as possible. More on the next week's show, and the hours were apart.
Make them count.